When I returned home from finishing my business trip, the key to the house wouldn't open. I hurriedly asked my husband through the intercom, "Dylan, why won't the house key work?"
"Oh, I changed the locks."
"What? Why would you do that?" I stood there in shock, and my husband spoke coldly.
"You know why, right? We can't cause any more trouble in the neighborhood, so go somewhere else quickly."
And then, the sound abruptly cut off. I pressed the intercom several times, but it seemed like my husband had turned it off. It remained silent. Then, I received a message from my husband on WhatsApp.
"I don't need a wife who uses business trips as an excuse to slack off on household chores. Sleep outside until you reflect on your actions."
The moment I saw that, I felt my body tremble with anger. He leaves all the housework to me, and then he talks like this just because I went on a business trip? I don't need a husband like this anymore. After this, my foolish husband will face hell. My name is Abigail, a 32-year-old working wife. I originally liked fashion and worked as a stylist for fashion magazines. Due to my lifelong passion for fashion, my outfits have gained popularity to the extent that magazines have featured special articles on them. My social media followers include tens and thousands of fans, including popular models, who specifically request to wear only the outfits coordinated by me, saying, "I only want to wear what Abigail has coordinated." My job was fulfilling and enjoyable. As I worked with dedication, I had unknowingly turned 30. My friends, concerned about me not having a boyfriend and being focused on work, decided to introduce me to someone. It was there I met Dylan, who would later become my husband. Dylan is a salaried employee at a major cosmetic company's sales department. I instantly liked him at first sight because of his charming smile. He too took an interest in my work, and as we went out to eat together, our relationship began. Amidst our busy work schedules, we managed to fit in dates, and after a year and a half of dating, Dylan said this to me.
"Abigail, will you marry me?"
"Huh? Really? I'm so happy!" To be honest, I thought the proposal was a bit farther down the road, so I was surprised but delighted. "But Dylan, I love my job. I want to continue working even after we are married." Dylan then smiled and replied,
"Of course. You shine when you work hard. Please stay that way even after we get married."
"Thank you, Dylan." And so, I accepted his proposal, becoming his fiancé. Afterward, we arranged a meeting between both families, and there were no significant issues, so we had our wedding. We rented an apartment at the midpoint between our workplaces and started living together. The first month or so felt like our honeymoon, and we were happy. However, gradually, I began to feel a certain dissatisfaction. That dissatisfaction was the fact that Dylan didn't do any housework at all. For example, one day, Dylan, who woke up more slowly than me, began to leisurely eat the breakfast I had prepared.
"Hey, could you make some coffee? Black is fine."
Dylan saying such things as he read the newspaper. I made him a cup of coffee and started tidying up the finished laundry. Of course, Dylan made no attempt to help, and he left the dishes from the meal as they were and headed for the shower. In the meantime, I finished the laundry and cleaned up breakfast for both of us. After that, we both leave for work at the same time. I often come home later. Even though Dylan gets home first, he just lies lazily on the sofa.
"Hey, Abigail, make dinner quickly. I'm starving."
While feeling a bit irritated by his words, I quickly prepared dinner. Dylan ate in silence while looking at his smartphone. "Hey, can you stop using your phone during mealtime and have a conversation with me?"
"Quit nagging. It's not a big deal, right?
Even when I bring it up, he doesn't stop using his smartphone while eating. After finishing the meal, he goes to take a bath without clearing the dishes. He watches TV and drinks beer while I'm doing the cleanup and the bathroom cleaning. Then, while I'm still not done with all the household chores, he heads to the bedroom by himself. This kind of life continued for several months, and I was accumulating stress. At first, I thought, I'm a wife, so I should do things properly, and I tried my best. But my patience had reached its limit with Dylan, who wouldn't do household chores no matter how many times I asked. I finally decided to have a conversation with my husband. Hey Dylan, I have something important to discuss.
Huh? What? You suddenly sound serious.
I want to have a proper conversation about dividing household chores. Right now, I'm doing everything right. Can't you help out a bit? Dylan then responded with a surprised expression.
Huh? Dividing household chores? Are you telling me to do housework?
Yeah, wouldn't it be nice if you could help a bit?
What are you talking about? After getting married, isn't housework entirely the wife's job? I've never heard of making the husband do it.
Dylan delivered this outdated statement with a straight face, and I responded with frustration. That's something from a bygone era. I'm working too, and in a dual-income household, it's common to share responsibility.
But my mom did everything.
That's because your mom was a housemaker, right? Times and the situations have changed. Besides, you said it's okay for me to keep working, right? If that's the case, can you help out with the housework? At that point, Dylan must have given me a fierce look.
Work and household chores are not related, right? Anyway, that's a woman's job.
Huh?
I will never do household chores. It's not something a man should do.
You are saying such old-fashioned things again.
I don't care. I won't do it anyway. You continue taking care of me, as you always have, got it?
With that, Dylan quickly went to take a bath. I was alone with my head in my hands. Since then, I've been busier than ever with my publication, thinking that this situation wasn't sustainable for managing household chores. I decided to consult a busy colleague who was in a similar situation. They informed me we use a housekeeping service. Upon inquiring further, I learned that this service not only handles cleaning and laundry, they are willing to cook and prepare food for you. I thought this was a good idea and promptly told Dylan about it. Hey Dylan, I'm thinking of hiring a housekeeping service. When I told him that, Dylan made a suspicious face.
What's that?
Well, you see, I explained the details and cost of the service. With our income, it's not an unreasonable expense, or so I thought. I thought for sure he'd agree, but...
Absolutely not.
Huh?
I don't want stranger in the house, and it's waste of money, isn't it? Just keep doing everything like before.
But I have a publication coming up, and I'm busy.
That's not relevant. You should keep doing the housework perfectly as you always have. Just because you're busy doesn't mean I will tolerate slacking off.
Dylan said it forcefully, glaring at me. I could only stand in shock. Around that time, that Dylan started coming home late, saying he was getting busier at work. That's never happened before. He claimed he was working late every day, and even working on weekends. Our precious time as a couple disappeared, and we continued to lead separate lives. Despite this, I had to keep the house perfectly. While working, I couldn't help but sigh. Zoe, my close friend and a model, curiously asked what was wrong. Abigail, what's wrong? Why do you look so down? Oh, sorry. I've been a little troubled. I'll listen. How about going out for dinner today? On that day, it seems that Dylan was working overtime, so I accepted Zoe's invitation. We went out for a meal, and I couldn't help but vent about Dylan. What? Isn't that terrible? It's like being treated as a servant. Zoe, after hearing my story, got angry, as if it were her own problem. Just having someone listen to me made my heart feel lighter, I realized. At this rate, won't it affect your work? I have always wanted to work with you, Abigail. Zoe expressed her concern, saying she wanted to work with me. Thank you. I really want to focus on my work. If you ever feel like escaping, feel free to come to my place anytime. I will be there to support you. Zoe said this and shared her home address, which was in a luxury high-rise. Our relationship started with work, but now Zoe was like a close friend in both our professional and personal lives. I genuinely appreciated her. After some time had passed, I was assigned to go on a business trip for an event. I informed Dylan, who returned home late. Dylan, I'm going on a 3-day business trip soon.
Huh? A business trip?
Yes. While I'm away, I will ask you to take care of the things at home. Upon saying this, Dylan furrowed his eyebrows and began to get angry.
Am I supposed to allow such a selfish request? What am I supposed to do about housework while you're gone?
Well, there's no choice but for you to do it yourself. It's just 3 days, right?
I don't want to do housework.
Dylan behaved like a child, and I sighed. How about we hire a professional housekeeper this time?
What? You want me to let a stranger into our home?
As Dylan began to speak, his expression changed suddenly. Dylan?
Well, alright, I guess. I will let you hire someone while you're on your business trip.
For some reason, Dylan started to smirk, and I found it puzzling.
However, you will have to cover the cost of the housekeeper during that time, understood?
If that's what it takes for you to agree, Dylan. So it was decided that I would go on a business trip, and during that time, we would hire a housekeeping service. However, I couldn't help but feel uneasy about Dylan's sudden change of heart. Perhaps there was a hidden reason for his recent late returns, or maybe not. While pondering these thoughts, I secretly installed security surveillance cameras at home without Dylan's knowledge. 1 week later, I set off on my business trip. I was busy with work during my time away, and 3 days passed quickly. I bought a souvenir for Dylan and returned home at night, trying to insert the key into the lock. However, for some reason, the key wouldn't turn. No matter how many times I tried, the key wouldn't open the door. Panicked, I pressed the intercom, and Dylan answered.
Who is it?
It's me. Why isn't the house key working?
Oh, I changed the locks.
What? Why would you do that? I stood there in shock, and Dylan spoke coldly.
You know why, right? You should leave quickly. We don't want to cause a disturbance in the neighborhood.
Then, the audio abruptly cut off. I pressed the intercom multiple times, but my husband either turned it off and it wouldn't ring at all. Then, I received a message from Dylan.
I don't want a wife who skips housework on the excuse that she's on a business trip. You will be sleeping outdoors until you are sorry.
The moment I saw it, I knew I was shaking with rage. You throw all the housework at me, but you say this just because I went on a business trip? I don't want this kind of husband anymore. I turned around silently, grabbed my suitcase, and hailed a taxi. While on the move, I checked the real-time footage from the surveillance cameras I had set up at home. There, I saw the worst scenario I had expected in some corner of my heart. Dylan sitting on our couch, laughing and fooling around with an unfamiliar woman.
I successfully drove away that terrible wife. She didn't even notice you were at home. She's a complete idiot.
Way to go, Dylan!
I'm gathering evidence that she's neglecting housework, and then I plan to divorce her. After that, we can be together, Natalie.
Dylan, I'm so happy. I'll be a good wife. Watching this, I felt more disgust than shocked. These two were openly engaging in inappropriate activities in our home. I made sure to record it. After some consideration about where to go, I contacted Zoe. She invited me to her home, and I explained the whole situation to her. Zoe smiled slyly and said this. Your husband was a sales department manager at Sleek Cosmetics, right? Yes, he was. But at that moment, Zoe started making a phone call. A few minutes later, an elegantly dressed older lady appeared at Zoe's house. This is my mom. Well, Mom? Afterward, Zoe shared something shocking with me. The next day, I returned home. This time, Dylan let me into the house without any resistance.
What's gotten into you? Have you finally come to your senses?
I responded firmly to Dylan's remark. You should be the one reflecting.
Huh?
I caught Dylan off guard and presented him with a signed divorce agreement. I can't go on with you anymore. Please, let's get a divorce. Upon hearing this, Dylan let out a snort.
Did you think I'd back down just because you handed me a divorce agreement? Oh well, I will get a divorce.
With a smirk, he signed it and handed it back to me. Well then, please come in. I called out to the door, and Zoe and her mother arrived together.
Huh? Wait a minute. Zoe, the model? Why are you here? Wait, the president?
Dylan's face turned pale. Yes, Zoe's mother was the president of the cosmetics company Dylan worked for. Zoe called her in, and the president was kind enough to listen to me. And after seeing the evidence of my husband's infidelity that I presented, she said, "Leave it to me." Hello, Dylan. I'm well aware of your situation. As the president stated this calmly, my husband began to sweat profusely.
Yes, but why are you here?
I heard that my daughter's best friend is going through a tough time.
Zoe and you are related?
This fact wasn't publicly known, and I also learned of it for the first time yesterday. Dylan shrank in front of the president. By the way, Dylan, I received a report from someone in the sales department.
Oh,
it seems you have an unusual relationship with Natalie, who works in the same sales department. There have been days when you both go out together for work and don't return? The president questioned Dylan in a matter-of-fact tone. Dylan began to explain himself nervously.
I swear, it's baseless. There's no relationship between her and me. Besides, I have a wife.
Is Natalie this person? I played a video of the two engaging in questionable activities that I had recorded. The unbearable sounds echoed through the room.
What? Why do you have this? Stop it! Stop it!
Dylan made a fierce attempt to snatch my phone from me. Zoe swiftly delivered a sharp chop to his arm.
Ah, it hurts!
You know, I've done martial arts too, despite my appearance. I'll be your opponent. As Dylan tearfully looked up at Zoe, who was smirking, the president interjected. Regardless, there is evidence of your stay at the lodging in the GPS history of the company car. Well, both you and Natalie will face some consequences, I suppose.
What? That's a problem.
Utah is a nice place for your relocation, isn't it? Show your skills in the rural area.
That's...
Seeing that the president's stance remained firm, Dylan turned to me desperately.
Abigail, please forgive me. I will be a better husband from now on. Please put in a good word with the president. What will happen to me if I get transferred?
I pushed Dylan away with all my strength and yelled, "You're so noisy! You haven't done anything for me at all! Get ready to pay alimony, you scumbag!" Leaving Dylan covered in tears and snot behind, we walked away from the scene. Later, my divorce from Dylan was finalized. I was able to obtain $20,000 in alimony for his infidelity and a significant share of the property. I also claimed $13,000 in alimony from Natalie, his affair partner, who seems to break up with him after leaving her job. Dylan was transferred to a remote location, as per Zoe's mother's orders. He is now working in a faraway place with people whispering about him. He probably won't be able to return to his previous elite career path. On the other hand, I have returned to the single life, and I'm living comfortably. My book has been successfully published, and it's selling well. Zoe and I maintain a close relationship both in work and private life. Lately, we've even been having meals with the company president who supported us. I want to continue working positively while expressing gratitude to my best friend and her mother.
My daughter said she wants to come home to have her baby. So, I hope that's all right with you. What? What are you talking about? She wants to come back home to deliver. Where does she plan to give birth? Right here, Pam, my mother-in-law, declared confidently. You know, coming home usually means going back to one's own parents' place. This isn't her childhood home, and it's not my husband's either. I quickly set the record straight with a self-absorbed Pam. My name is Layla, and I'm a 35-year-old office worker. I've been married to my husband, Ryan, for 3 years. We first met at a mixer. A mutual friend set it up. I hadn't gone to many mixers before, but I was starting to think about settling down. So, I decided to give it a shot, and went. That's when I ran into Ryan. He looked just as out of place at these mixers, and at first, our chat was a little clumsy. But a switch in seating landed us side by side, sparking a more natural conversation. Talking one-on-one was way easier than in a group, and it felt like Ryan and I really clicked. After the mixer, we headed out for drinks, found a cozy bar, and dove deeper into conversation. We swapped numbers and started hanging out after work, grabbing drinks or dinner. Things went well between us, and before long, we were a couple. Finding a boyfriend at that mixer was a surprise, but I was elated, thinking maybe it was destiny. After about a year of dating, we chose to get married. He's a year older and seemed ready for a relationship that would lead to marriage. I was on the same page. So after just a year together, we took the plunge. We met each other's families, celebrated our wedding, and started our journey as a married couple. Life with him was smooth sailing. In fact, it felt incredibly serene, and our shared interests, lifestyles, and values made everything effortless. We both had dependable jobs, so money wasn't a concern. We made loads of memories, like trips, long drives, and fancy dinners for special occasions. Being with my husband always brought joy, and I was constantly laughing. I'm convinced he's my other half. Our married life was pure bliss. Yet, 3 years in, something's casting a shadow over our happiness. It's the sudden appearance of my mother-in-law, Pam. Hello, Ryan. Layla.
Huh? Mom? What are you doing here unannounced?
To cut to the chase, can I crash here for a bit? Wait, what? Why? There's this shady guy hanging around my place.
Seriously? That's concerning. Have you called the cops?
My husband questioned, clearly worried and taken aback. I did, but they told me they couldn't do much unless he does something.
That's not comforting.
They did say they'd step up patrols in my neighborhood, but ever since your dad passed last year, I've been on my own. The thought of any threat while I'm by myself is terrifying.
Mom.
She genuinely looked distressed. No doubt, dealing with a creepy stranger when you're alone is scary. I figure if I lay low for about a month, he might get the hint and leave. A whole month? I was caught off guard. Based on our chat, she planned on bunking with us for a month. That left me a bit dumbfounded. It felt like she wanted to move in. It's challenging to adjust to such a lengthy stay on short notice. But I wouldn't want to live with the guilt if something bad happened to her. Can Ryan and I chat about this for a sec? Of course. I realize this is out of the blue, and probably a hassle for you two. Thanks for understanding. Ryan and I headed to our room for a quick discussion. I laid out my thoughts and reservations. He emphasized that he'd rather be safe than sorry, and wanted her to stay, if only for a short while, for everyone's peace of mind. Given how strongly he felt, I was on board. We settled on letting Pam stay for a month. Really? Oh, thank you so much. She looked truly appreciative.
All right, Mom. Let's grab your things then.
No need. I've got everything I'll need right here.
Really? Oh, okay.
We both raised our eyebrows. It was clear that she had come fully equipped, expecting us to take her in. Well, we'd already agreed to let her stay, so there was no use making a big deal about it. And that's how our temporary living arrangement with Pam got started. Little did we know, this was just the tip of the iceberg. Layla, what the heck is this? Excuse me? Why are you rummaging through my drawers without asking? You shouldn't wear such bold lingerie. It doesn't match your look at all. Come on, Pam. It's not nice to just go into someone's room like that. What? What? I was just trying to help tidy up. Why are you getting all upset over that? I appreciate the gesture, but I'd rather you didn't touch my stuff. It's crucial to set boundaries in these situations. I made my stance clear to her, but she didn't seem to appreciate it. Ryan, Layla was so rude. she just yelled at me.
She did?
At dinner, she played the victim card, making it seem like I was in the wrong.
What actually went down?
I was just trying to thank her for letting me stay, so I thought cleaning her room would be nice. But she went off on me, telling me not to touch her stuff. You wouldn't believe the look she gave me. Who knew someone so calm could get so mad? Maybe that's what makes it even scarier. She smirked as she spun her version, painting me as if I had some sort of temper issue.
Layla, she's claiming this happened, but what's your side of the story?
He turned to me, ready to listen. Taking a deep breath, I explained calmly. Yes, I got upset. And yes, I told her to leave my room alone. But that's because she walked into my room without asking and started going through my personal things.
Seriously?
And then she had the nerve to comment on my choice of clothing, calling it gaudy and out of place.
Mom? Did you seriously do that?
I was just checking things out. He gave her a sharp look, which clearly made her uncomfortable.
Checking what out? For what?
I mean,
You're just trying to cover for yourself because you're caught. It's clear that Layla's being honest and you're not being straight with us. You can't be doing things like this, Mom.
After my husband's scolding, her face turned a bright shade of red. I was only trying to help. Then she pretended to be in tears. Seriously, she was acting like a little kid, crying when things didn't go her way. I hadn't noticed this side of her before. Maybe because I hadn't been around her this much. It's possible her late husband kept these tendencies in check. Or maybe she concealed them, not wanting to upset him. But now, without him around, she was letting loose. Regardless, if she's going to act out and add stress, I can't have her staying here for an entire month. Still, I can't ignore the potential danger at her own home either. I brought up my concerns to my husband. Can we really deal with your mom acting like this for a month? Just the thought of her snooping in my space distracts me from work. And I really don't want to shell out for locks on every tour.
I get where you're coming from. I'm genuinely sorry you have to deal with this.
He looked very torn. He was stuck between his mother's antics and his concern for her safety. After mulling it over, he proposed an idea.
How about we set up a camera in your room? If Mom sneaks in, we'll have proof and can call her out on it. Plus, we agree up front that if she trespasses, she goes back to her own place. That should deter her.
That might work. It seems like a better plan than doing nothing at all. He offered to handle the camera setup, so I was on board with the idea. Fast forward a week, and sure enough, Pam was in my room again. She even rifled through my desk drawers and was playing with my jewelry. That was the last straw for both me and my husband.
Mom, what's going on here?
Why is there a camera in here? We set it up to see if you'd respect our boundaries. I can't believe you'd go this far. You're the one crossing the line. You took my jewelry without asking. I I was just going to wear it for a bit.
Do you think it's okay to just take stuff without permission?
It's no big deal. You're overreacting.
Mom, come on. This is pretty much stealing.
Stealing? You're making it sound so dramatic.
You acted in a way that could be called that. Given your breach of trust, it's time for you to head back home.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I apologize. Truly. I promise, I won't go into your room anymore. I'll put the jewelry back. Just let me stay a little longer. Please.
She apologized profusely. We hadn't seen that coming. After a chat, my husband and I decided to give her one more chance. But we made it crystal clear. One more slip up, and there'd be no more chances. With this understanding, she stayed a tad longer. She had initially said she'd stay a month, half of which was already over, so we were down to just 2 more weeks. We hoped she'd gotten the message. Boy, were we wrong. She took another wild turn.
Yeah, come on over. Can't wait to see you.
Pam was excitedly gabbing on the phone. I was curious who was on the other end. When she hung up, I inquired, "Who were you chatting with?"
My daughter Natalie.
Oh, Natalie. Turns out she was catching up with my sister-in-law. Pam looked over the moon, and then she said this.
Natalie mentioned she's coming home for a while. Just a heads up.
Hold on, what do you mean by coming home?
She's coming back to deliver her baby.
And where does she plan to do that?
Right here.
She said it as if it was the most natural thing in the world. Usually you'd go to your own parents' place for that. Are you implying she's coming here? When I pressed her, she looked surprised and retorted,
Why would I have her in that old place of mine? This apartment is roomy and has extra bedrooms, so Natalie can comfortably stay here.
Seriously? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. How could Pam, who was just a guest herself, make such a decision? And she's about to leave in a couple of weeks. Pam, you can't just call the shots like that. Even if Natalie shows up, we're not letting her in. At my words, she shot me a fierce look.
How dare you? Who do you think you are? This is Ryan's place, right? You're just living here because of him, and now you're acting all high and mighty. If this is Ryan's place, it's essentially the family home.
Such twisted logic wasn't going to cut it. This isn't a family estate, and it's not solely my husband's. I wasn't about to let her irrational claims go unchecked. Just so you're aware, this house is in my name.
It is?
She scoffed at my declaration.
You expect me to believe you could buy a place like this?
With my husband still at work, she seemed to think she had the upper hand. Did she assume she could boss me around when it was just the two of us? How presumptuous. Pam, you clearly don't know the first thing about me. I've been with a global company since graduating college, pulling in over $95,000 annually.
No way! You're making that up, aren't you?
It's the truth. Just ask Ryan.
For real?
My high salary clearly took her by surprise. Right on cue, my husband came through the door. I overheard you, Mom. I had Layla's phone on speaker, so I caught the whole conversation.
You did?
Why would you invite my sister here without asking? This isn't your place, and it's not mine either.
So it really is Layla's house.
Enough. Head back to your place.
Are you really suggesting I go back? Even if it's not safe?
That shady guy you mentioned? We saw someone hovering near your house, but it's clear. They're debt collectors. So you're on the run from debts? Every time we looked into it, the picture became clearer.
He confronted her head on, and she went white as a ghost.
You're holding up here, because those collectors don't know about this place. Huh. I thought it was odd you were always home. I don't know the extent of your debt, but you have an obligation to settle it. You can't stay here expecting us to bail you out. Fill Natalie in on everything. If she tries to come here, she won't be let in. Now it's clear. You're only looking out for yourself. We're done with you.
The harshness of his words seemed to break her. No! With tears streaming down her face, she watched in despair as he tossed her bags into the hallway.
Time to go. We're not playing games.
As her things were thrown out, she hurriedly followed. As soon as she was out the door, he locked it behind her. We could still hear her distressed cries, but they eventually trailed off, and she was gone. Later, he briefed his sister Natalie about their mother's debts and the looming collectors. He might have laid it on thick, suggesting that sticking close to their mom could put Natalie in danger too. Natalie took his word for it, distancing herself from Pam and even scrapping her homecoming plans. It seems Pam tried reaching out, but Natalie kept shutting her out, leaving Pam to fend for herself. In the end, Pam ended up back at her place, where the debt collectors caught up with her. They put her to work to pay off her debt. She had always lived beyond her means. Once she got her hands on her late husband's inheritance, her spending spiraled, leading to mountains of debt. However, she only had herself to blame. She needs to face the music and pay back what she owes. We don't want any part in her mess, but we do hope she straightens out her life. Considering her track record, though, that might be a stretch. As for my husband and me, we're living our best lives, cherishing our time together. I'm committed to my career, and together, we're focused on building a future filled with happy memories.